Welcome to the Empower Elle podcast. I'm your host, Vero, and I'm so excited to have you join me on this journey of empowerment and growth. This podcast is designed for ambitious, high-achieving women who are ready to break free from overwhelm and step into their power. Together, we'll explore practical strategies, share inspiring stories, and hear from experts who can help you navigate the challenges of balancing ambition and well-being. Whether you're looking to cultivate confidence, transform your mindset, enhance your leadership skills, or find harmony in your life, this is the place for you. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Empower Elle podcast. I'm so glad that you're here to learn about something that could really shift the way that you lead and live. Today's conversation is all about growth, courage, and reinvention, and supporting women through some of life's most vulnerable seasons. So I'm joined today by Dominique Méthé, who's a social worker who spent 10 years working in the mental health team at a men's medium security institution before taking a leap of faith into private practice. Dominique is currently under contract with Inner Connection Therapy and Wellness, where she specializes in supporting women and mothers through experiences like postpartum mood disorders, fertility struggles, perinatal loss, and birth trauma. She's also in the process of becoming a certified breathwork practitioner. Now, beyond her professional work, Dominique loves to travel, to spend time with her family, to read a good book, to drink a good coffee, and to unwind with some trash reality TV, which is also a guilty pleasure of mine, so I totally understand. So, Dominique, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So, I want to dive right in. You spent 10 years working at a men's medium security institution on the mental health team. What initially drew you to that work?
Good question. When I was studying to become a social worker, I knew I didn't want to work in child protection.
Okay.
So, which is kind of the one job that you're insured to get employment once you graduate, but I knew that wasn't for me. So I did a field placement at the parole office. So I had kind of a feeler of the corrections, which I really liked that field placement. And I also had a summer job as a student, just kind of doing admin work. And I was approached by one of my friends who was working with child protection at the time, who was approached by her old field placement teacher. And they were looking to fill a contract, but only of 3 months. And it was with corrections, but working out of Moncton. And she was like, I can't quit my full-time job to sign a 3-month contract.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was waitressing. So she contacted me and I said, yeah, absolutely, I'll take it. So I started there and I worked there I did a couple of contracts. And then they said, we have a job opening at the prison. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll take it. And at first I found it really cool to work in a prison. Badass. And I enjoyed it until I didn't.
Yeah. And we're gonna talk about that actually. So but first I'd love to hear about some of the biggest lessons or experiences that really shaped you during those 10 years. It's not typical work or a typical work environment maybe. So I'm really curious about what you took away from those 10 years before we get to the time when a change was needed.
Right. I learned to find my voice.
Mm.
Um, and working in the prison is very strange. It's a very different world, and there's not a lot of people that knows, right?
Mm.
So you kind of build this like very strong bond with the people that works there. Like I was trusting the officers that they had my life in their hands, you know. So you build this like really strong bond, but it's a really the things you hear, the things you see is very not normal. And I always
Mhm.
said that, like, even like every time I went on the unit, I spoke with the officers, I would always leave and be like, we're working in a really weird place. Like, take care of your
Yeah.
mental health, you know, because to keep on working there, you got to block things off. You got to like numb yourself a lot. So it's a really weird environment to be in, but then you create this really strong bond with staff.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know if I really answered that question, but yeah, at the end I like learned to like find my voice and
Yeah.
advocate for myself and for my team and for, you know, things that I didn't feel was right.
Well, you did, and it's like you mentioned, like it really helped you to build that confidence
Yeah,
and that resilience,
yeah,
right? Because you have no choice but to.
exactly.
So, so you talk about loving it until you didn't, which I can very much relate to. So, talk to me about that a little bit. Like, was there a specific moment or a season when you realized that something needed to change?
Yeah, everyone told me when you have kids, you're going to
Hmm.
see things differently.
Yeah.
And that is true. And I had my first, and I kept on going, and it was okay. And then I had my second, and a year in, right before her first birthday, she started to have some health issues. So she has the diagnosis is abnormal febrile seizures. So she, every time she has a fever, well, not every time. So when she has a fever, sometimes she has a seizure, and it's abnormal because it always lasted way too long. And so we started navigating that like at home. And at the
Hmm.
time, I was on maternity leave still, and then I went back in January. This started in August, and I went back in January, and I was very not okay. I was living all of this at home, and I was so anxious that my daughter would, you know, have a seizure, and I wouldn't be there because she was at daycare or so I was really unwell. And then I started to notice what the impact of working in a prison for 10 years did on my nervous system.
Yeah.
So not only was I extremely anxious, you know, at home, but I was also extremely anxious at work. My workplace made it that every day that I step into the doors, my nervous system kicks on, that I want to or
Hmm.
not, right? So always having the fight or flight, always having that nervous system on. And then so I didn't really notice until all of this was happening at home. So
Yeah.
navigating both, I was like, something has to give. And that's where I was like, okay, I think I need a change. Like if I stay here, like I'm probably gonna end up like on a, you know, a long-term leave or something.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it was like not a good period of my life.
Well, no, like we need somewhere where we can breathe and let go of some of that stress and that anxiety. And when you work in an environment that like you have no choice but to be on your guard and to look out for yourself. So when you also have that at home, it's like
Hmm.
it
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah, like if I would, you know, work in an office space, just, I don't know, in Moncton and just like being on the computer all day long, yes, I would still have the anxiety of is she going to have a seizure and I'm not going to be
Mhm.
there? That would have still been present, but then
Yeah.
my workplace makes it like, ooh, like everything is high.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, it makes a lot of sense why you needed that change.
Mhm.
And so then you took a leap of faith into private practice, which is a really big transition.
It was.
So talk to me about like yes, the process, but like the emotions that came up for you during that change.
It was a lot because when you work for the government, you have a pension, you have
Yeah.
vacation, you have sick days, you have a good pay that is stable, right? And for a social worker, it was like one of the top pays.
Yeah.
So I had the stability, and it was a really big decision for me. Do I leave that stability to be okay and happy mentally, or do I stay because I want the stability? And
Hmm.
with corrections, if you worked 10 years with inmates, you can retire or
Okay.
like after 25 years without penalty. It's
Okay.
There's a bit more like complicated things to that, but anyways. So for me, I was like, I could retire at 52. Like probably not. Yeah, I would probably do 30, but I was like aiming to reach that 10-year mark, so it would give me, the option of retiring earlier if I want to. So all my 10 years, that's what I was striving for, and I hit it. And then a couple of months later, I left.
Okay.
There was a lot of back and forth, right, with my husband. Like he needed to be on board, and he was very, still is very supportive because he saw me, right?
Absolutely.
So I actually asked for a year on leave without pay.
Okay.
I and then yeah, so that was approved. So it gives me a safety net, right, of doing a change in career, but still, if this doesn't work out, then, I still have my job waiting for me
Yeah.
this fall. Which for me now is like creating more anxiety because I have to do a decision coming this fall. And I think deep down I know what the decision is, but I'm still leaning towards that safety, right?
Yeah.
Towards that pension. And like the other day, my son's teacher called and he was like, he has a really big headache. And I had a full day of clients. And I was like, at my old job, I just would have went to my boss and said, "Oh, okay, I'm leaving for the day. I'm taking a sick day. I need to go get my son." But then I had to like scramble around to like find someone who could go get him because I didn't want to cancel all my clients that day.
Yeah.
So I still have those moments of like the security is nice, and all of that comes, like they call it the golden handcuff for a reason. And I
Hmm.
hear a lot of people wanting to do the jump, but they're like too afraid. And fair, I was very afraid, and I'm still questioning like, did I do the right decision? Like, I just wish I could like see in the future. But
I always
another
felt
yeah, but like another aspect of it was like the financial part was really difficult because
that.
I
Yeah.
went to have like this stable pay. I knew what was coming in my account every 2 weeks, right? And then now I'm paid per client.
Hmm.
So at first, when you're building your caseload,
Yeah.
things can be slow. And I had really not like unrealistic expectations, which I kind of figured out soon. I was like, okay, we need to like shift that mindset. But
Hmm.
that period of time was causing me financial stress, right?
Yes.
And like we were okay, but I never had to lean on my husband
Hmm.
for to like get help financially. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're in a position where I'm able to do that. I'm able to like, go down with my salary. So that's really nice, but it did still cause, stress because it's uncomfortable and I've never had to deal with that, and that made me
Hmm.
really uncomfortable. right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm having like a really good flow recently, which I'm really thankful for. So it took away that anxiety
Yeah.
of it, right?
That's so true. I hadn't even thought about like the security piece, right? Because I feel like we get into a place where like our and that was the case for me. From what I'm hearing, it's the case for you too. It's like your mental health was so bad that yes, you needed to get out of there, but then you're adding on that financial stress, which yes, your mental health
Yeah,
might get better from being out of that environment, but you're adding an extra stressor that you didn't have before.
right.
And so going
So,
through
and that,
that is very different.
yeah, and that's what I'm like, I am having different stressors now
Yeah,
that I didn't have before,
yeah,
but I guess are less impactful on my mental health. Even though
absolutely.
financial stress is very impactful on your mental health, but I was in such a like not good place that like
Yeah,
that was, better. And like even like I think it was like something like 3 weeks when I left. And I left on Halloween, and it was the weirdest day. I've worked at the exact same place, same job for 10 years. I'm at a place in my career where um, I'm extremely confident in my work,
yeah,
right? And like, there's like crisis, and that's the thing, right? It, in prison, there's always a crisis. There's always something going on. And I was
hmm,
extremely confident with the decisions that I took regarding those
yeah,
crises, right? The, with my clients. So I was at this place where I was like, I trusted myself because I had
yeah,
all this experience built up, but I couldn't grow anymore. I couldn't grow professionally. Well, maybe because it's shifting a bit, but like I didn't really want to be in a management position. So I couldn't really grow. So I couldn't grow professionally and I couldn't grow personally.
yeah,
Um, so Halloween was my last day, and it was such a weird day. I like cried all day, and I was, the upcoming change, the
yeah,
unknown, all of things rolling in my head, and like losing connection with the people that I work with,
yeah,
right?
hmm,
So, and then I get out, I walk out the door for possibly the last time
yeah.
alone. I walk to my car, I cry, and then I drive to go get the kids, and then we go trick or treating. I like didn't have time to like
The
process
process.
anything.
Yeah.
And about like 3 weeks later, my mom told me, she's like, "You look better," and I was like, "Was I
Mm.
that bad?" Like, when you're in it, you don't see it.
No, you
Others
don't.
others
Yeah,
see it.
yeah,
So just physically being removed from that
yeah,
place, only for a very short amount of time, my mom was like, "You're better," and I can tell.
yeah. That must have helped you a little bit feel like you made a good decision for yourself.
Yeah, and like even like myself at home with my husband and my kids, I am a way better mom. I have
Yeah,
more patience
absolutely.
because I'm not constantly activating my nervous system in that fight or
Yeah,
flight.
yeah, yeah. I want to switch gears a little bit to what you're doing now. So, you now specialize in working with women and mothers, which is really different,
Very
um,
different.
and help them through experiences like postpartum and fertility struggles and birth trauma and things like that. So, why is that work so meaningful to you?
So in the last years of my work, I kept on repeating, if I could choose my population, it would be women and mothers because there is such a big lack of support
Yeah.
there. And when you become a mom, everything changes. And I've
Hmm.
seen friends go through miscarriage. I've seen people close to me have fertility issues. I've seen people struggle with postpartum depression, et cetera, et cetera. And like birth trauma. I'm like, who doesn't have birth trauma?
Yeah.
So it's, and there's everyone is just left there, right?
Yeah.
You're going through fertility treatment. You're like trying to grasp and hold on to that dream of becoming parents, and you have to go through years and years, and like you spend a lot of money and you don't even know if it's gonna work out in the end.
Yeah.
And there's like no support for mental health. I've seen people go through miscarriage, have horrible experiences in the hospital waiting room because the system is broken. Like, it's not the doctor's or nurse's fault. It's just the system is broken.
Yeah.
And they're just left there, and they said, okay, you miscarried, you can go home, right? But then it's the part of like, okay, this traumatic thing happened to me, but it's like the letting go again of that dream of becoming a parent. You got pregnant. The minute usually that you see the positive pregnancy test, everything shifts, right?
Yeah.
Because now you're getting ready for, they say 9, but really 10 months, um, what it's going to look like at that time. And then you get hooked on that dream, right? Because
Oh.
most of the people, like, they wanted the pregnancy and whatever, right? So,
Mhm.
and then they're just left with nothing. Same, postpartum depression is like so common, and like people don't have enough education because there's not enough resources there.
Mhm.
So, and I see mothers and I hear mothers like going through like the first year of life of their kids, and I'm like, you shouldn't feel like this. Like,
No.
you're probably struggling with postpartum depression. Like, you shouldn't feel like this. Like, the first year, like on maternity leave, it shouldn't feel like this. But there's
Yeah.
such a big lack of resource. And then even like with the doctors, like people go to their doctor and they're like, close the door. Like, it's not me that deals with that. Go to someone else. Go to your family doctor, right? And then when you don't work with someone who specializes in what you're going through, right? Sometimes things are missed, or it's not the right medication, or you got to watch what medication you can give and can't if
Mm.
you're breastfeeding. And so there's a big, big, big lack of resource there, and I want to help those people.
I love that. And so if my audience knows me, I'm not a mom and I don't want kids, but I'm really careful when I say that because I know so many people struggle with that. But I had two friends that were really close to me go through miscarriages, and they are two of like the strongest women I know. And I've never seen them like that. Like, it completely broke them down. So like, I can, from the outside to a certain extent, empathize what these women go through, and you're right. Like, there's no help really out there, and it's not something that you can be like, oh, I'll put you on a wait list for a year. Like, no, you're going through it
Right.
now,
Right.
right? So I think that's amazing work that you're doing. So, what are some of the most common struggles that you see women carrying? And I know you've talked about it a little bit, but when they come to you, like, what do they really, really need help with?
A lot of time I see like the same common thing, which is like they every single one going through either miscarriage or postpartum depression or fertility issue, everyone feels very alone. Everyone feels that this is very isolating for them. And I'm hearing this from like, 20 different women,
Everyone.
right? They're all
Yeah.
feeling the same way. Um, and sometimes just to get that support, just to have that like unbiased person that you can come to, and like you can cry for the whole session. I'm probably going to cry with you. You can tell me the same story 10 times. I'm not going to be like tired of hearing what you're going through. And
Mm,
sometimes just having that can be like super helpful,
yeah.
because you're taking out your emotion. You're like, what's going through your head, you're like verbalizing it to like someone who has a base knowledge, because I did a lot of training to try to set myself up to really understand what they're going through, right? So yeah, sometimes support is like what they need.
Yeah.
Other times I can kind of nudge them towards meeting with their doctor to start medication if I feel that they do have postpartum depression, right? And a lot of times women are really or like maybe everyone, but like they're like afraid to start medication. And
Yeah.
I totally get it because when I was unwell, my doctor kept on saying like, "Ooh, do you need medication?" And I always say, "Ooh, I don't know. I'm just gonna hold off a little bit." And like looking back, I'm like, I should have just taken the medication.
Yeah.
And, but so sometimes I do like education, and again, like this is not what postpartum look like, right?
Hmm.
Um, so that, and then there's like a couple of therapies that I have training in that works really really well with either miscarriage or infertility. So I have those tools as well.
Okay. Amazing. Um, what do you wish that more women understood about mental health during motherhood and just big life transitions?
That it's okay to ask for help, right? We're in this culture of, you know, we're doing it all and we're
Mm-hmm.
doing it all on our own, and
Mm-hmm.
we're really like bringing ourselves down if we don't meet like the unachievable standard that we set. And I think
Mm-hmm.
social media has a big part to play
Yeah.
in that, because now you have access to like women or like families all around the world,
Yeah.
and you don't know, you don't know the background of anyone,
No.
but you just see the like, oh,
The
the mom who,
hiking.
yeah, and like the mom who like cooks everything from scratch,
Yep.
and like all of the crafts, and then you're here and you're like barely surviving, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
so then you compare yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's like a big disconnect that happens there, because like mothers, like they don't follow their gut of like,
Yeah.
it's okay to just like go play outside and not like have this like big elaborate thing, right? So yeah, just to be like a lot more gentle on yourself, because this is a season of life that is very different. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
new. Even if
Yeah.
you're a second time mom or third time or fourth, it's the first time that you have this many children, right?
Yes.
There's like the learning curve and the adjustment of like juggling and like having to like split yourself with two kids and stuff like that. So just, yeah, and we're really, I think, yeah, we set high standards. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, bring those standards down. Like, it's
Yes.
okay to have the days where you just survive, and it's normal, and it's okay to ask for help. Like, if help is
Mm-hmm.
being offered, a lot of time they're like, oh, no, no, it's okay. And I'm like, take it, take that help.
Okay.
Like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I was gonna ask about like the pressure of holding it all together,
oh,
but
yeah.
that's exactly what you just talked about. So,
Mhm.
but I think all women feel that, and like as
Absolutely.
moms, it's probably even worse, right? Because it's like you
Yeah.
said, like you see the perfect mom out there, and you're like, I'm gonna be that perfect mom,
Hmm.
and it's like any major life transition, like you're in something completely new and then it doesn't go as you expected.
Yeah.
So,
And like, personal experience, I'm such a different mom
mm,
with my two kids than I was when I had one. And sometimes
yeah,
I'm like, I want to get back to being that mom, because I
yeah,
really love that version of myself. And then I guilt myself, but I'm like, okay,
yeah,
like your situation changed, like you have less time, you have two kids, you got to divide yourself, like it's different, right? So yeah, like even myself, like I compare myself and I look at what others are doing, and I'm like, I wish I could do that, but like
yeah,
I just don't have the energy to do that. And like my
no,
kids have a very, I think, good life, like where I'm really pushing them to like always be outside. So like we're always outside, and like,
mm.
we don't need the big things, but then at night when you scroll and you're like, oh, like I still compare, but
It's
uh,
just human to do so.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So shifting gears once again a little bit, you also mentioned that you are becoming a certified breathwork practitioner, which I did not know about you and I find really cool. So what inspired you to explore breathwork?
So, the clinic that I'm working at, we have like the two owners have their certification.
Okay.
But when I was still working in Dorchester, the owner of the clinic made a post because I was following them on Facebook. And she's
Okay.
like, I just got certified for breathwork, and I immediately called. I don't know why. I was just like so pulled to this. And I
Okay.
was like, I'm super interested in doing this. So she explained to me there's like, she's trained in like 5 different breathwork, and there's one that is specifically for trauma.
Okay.
And like you breathe for an hour and a half, which sounds crazy, but I swear it feels like 20 minutes. And at the end, you're kind of like, okay, like we could keep on doing this.
Okay.
So, with everything that we lived through with my daughter,
Yeah.
I did EMDR therapy for that because it is, and it's still very traumatic. And then
Absolutely.
I started doing the breath work for specifically for the trauma. And I was the owner is Marie Michel, her name is. I was her first client for breath work.
Okay.
So it's like, and I had made zero research. I heard the word breathwork here and there, and but like I made zero research. And when I got there, it was like this really like crazy intense music. Like I felt like I was in the Amazon rainforest, and then you just the music goes and you breathe faster, and it's just yeah, it's something else. So I haven't like I signed up for the training. I haven't had the chance to like actually start it, but I am signed up, and it's always on my to do list. But with kids lately, the past
Yeah.
month was a bit intense, so that's on my to do list for this week actually to start that. But um, the way you breathe, you get to this like state where it kind
Mm.
of like shuts down your brain, and then you can like kind of process like example I always said I feel like I'm drowning when we
Yeah.
went like when we were going through the health issues with my daughter. I always said I feel like I'm drowning, and I feel that no one is there to like support me, which everyone was there, but
Yes.
I felt so alone, but I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't alone. So we
Mm-hmm.
have like family close that were really really helpful and really supportive, and like there in a minute if we needed them. My husband, but it's so weird because I had this feeling that I felt so alone, and I think it's because I couldn't really connect with anyone going through what we were going.
Yeah.
I kept on saying I feel like I'm drowning, and I feel like no one is like there to support me. And during a session of breath work, I like saw myself from up top in the middle of the ocean, and like no one was coming.
Mm.
So, anyways, just like stuff like that, and then you kind of you sit and you process what that means and where that is coming from. So, but there's like different type of breath work. Like that one is like really really intense. So that's kind of where I started with getting to know breath work. And then when I joined the clinic, I had mentioned like, oh, if ever it comes up, like I would be open to do the training. And
Mm.
then they approached me saying like they already can't reach the demand. So they said, do you
Right.
want to do the training? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I will be certified at the end of November or mid November. So it's like a really intense training. It's 400 hours. It's kind of like the yoga teacher training, right? You get the 400 hours. Um, it's a lot of it is online, self paced. And then there's like 1 week in person where you do, and that I'm like already preparing myself because you do one session of breath work and you're like, like you're tired.
Okay.
And during the in person, we're gonna do 3 per day for 6 days
Wow.
straight. Yeah. So you learn all these different techniques and then you practice it, and yeah. So it looks really really intense, but I'm actually really excited for that. I feel that you're gonna come out a different person.
That's really interesting. Kind of like you were at the beginning, like I've heard the word breathwork like 1,000 times, but it's never something that I've really like delved into or looked into. So it's just really cool to hear more about it and like what it
Yeah.
actually presents. That's really
And
cool.
like when I get fully certified, I could come back and like
Yes.
really explain to you how it works.
Absolutely. I would love that. And I'm sure my audience would too. Um, so before, as we kind of start to wrap up, I do still have a few more questions, but one thing that we talk about often on the podcast is building success without sacrificing yourself. And I know, like me, you went through a season of realizing that you were sacrificing yourself and then trying to get out of that. So I'd like to know, like now, how do you balance work and family and rest and your hobbies and life and all of that?
Good question. I still feel not that balanced.
Yeah.
And I think with private practice, and I've heard this from different people working in the private practice, like it's going to be trial and error for quite a while.
Yeah.
Right now, I only have access to my office space 3 times a week. So that kind of limits me. I can't like see clients 5 days a week. Um,
Hmm.
if I could do that, I could finish earlier, et cetera, et cetera. But the kind of beauty of having those 2 days at home is like I actually put that you can book like a virtual appointment with me on
Okay.
those days because I'm home, so why not? But it gives me the time to like do the trainings and like organize my stuff and work on my business and like do content. So um, that's what I'm doing in those 2 days. But sometimes I feel like I'm doing too much, right? One of the reason, like one of the reasons that I also wanted to do the change was that I wanted to slow down. I wanted to be more at home. I wanted to be more at home with my kids. And right now it's just not possible now, but I will get there. But
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like I'm still like extremely busy, and then at night I'm like so tired because like and I and I forget that no, it's okay if you want to read a book for an hour and then start your work day after, right? So I'm trying to be mindful of like on those days where you work from home, like give yourself space and permission to go sit outside and have your coffee or like read a couple of chapters or not constantly work because that was part of like the why I wanted to transition.
Yeah.
And when I have full days at work, so like whatever from 8 9 to 4, um, I go by the water, and I started doing that because I have time now because I go drop off my kids at daycare like before 8, and then my first client is always at 9, so I have this like 1 hour time span where most of the time I just go and sit by the water, have my coffee, ground myself, like really notice notice the wind in my face and the salty air that you smell and the sun on your back, or so I do kind of these like grounding techniques, and then I feel like set and ready for the day.
Hmm.
So
I
that
love that
kind
you
of
said that. Yeah, and that's something I've always wondered actually from anyone who like does any kind of therapy for a full day. Like it must be really heavy to hear all of those stories and hear about everyone's trauma and everything that they're going through. So I think it's really important that you do have like those ways to ground yourself and not just like keep all of that in all the time. Is that something you find difficult?
yeah, and you know what, I find like it's a lot more demanding, I guess, if you want,
Yeah.
for me in this job compared to my last job.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think it's because like I'm giving like more of myself to the clients, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, But yeah, so I saw the shift where like at the end of a workday, I'm like more tired. But I think it
Yeah.
goes by fast too. Like I have like half an hour in between each client, but like usually like I go over, I need to work on that, and then I don't have any time in between clients, so then I like grab a bite to eat, like, and then go
Yeah.
get the next. And so I think once I find that good flow state, then it might be easier. But yeah, like I'm making sure to like take time to like do the grounding, and like after work, once the kids are in bed, sometimes I go up our field and like just watch the sunset, or just like
Mm-hmm.
decompress.
I love that. In true Empower L fashion, I would love to know how you define success now versus earlier in your career.
That's a good question. Um, I guess for me, success would just be like reaching that point where just everything flows. Like I'm not the type of girl that, needs to have all the flashy things, but
Yeah.
I need to like go on trips. um, but reaching that point where like there's no stressors coming in, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just being present with my family and taking the time to, you know, spend spend the time and be just fully present with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you have kids, kind of your mindset shifts a bit, and what you might wanted before now is like not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just being present with my kids and hoping to have them grow up in a really successful way.
I love that. I love when when it's not like this title, this job, this salary, this like I feel like that's what we go for at the beginning of our
Yeah,
careers, and then a lot of us kind of hit a point where it's like, oh, this is what I've been going for, and I'm here, and this is not it.
right. And you know what? A lot of people identify with what they do for work, and
Yeah.
that becomes kind of their personality. But
Hmm.
then I challenge them, and I'm like, okay, who are you if we take away
Yeah.
your work, right? And most of the time, people are like, I don't
It's
know.
so hard to answer. I know.
And then that creates like issues because you're so focused on work, you set your standards so high, and then you can't reach them, and like you're always like chasing for that and that title, and like when people get there, they don't get the gratification that they thought they would, because like you know it's not like who are you to the core,
Yeah.
right? You're not like, I'm not only a social worker. Yes, it's part of me, it's part of my story, but like I don't I don't say like, hey, I'm a social worker. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people, they go for the title, and then when they get there, they don't have the gratification they thought they would, and then they're like, I don't know why, but I'm like, it's because you don't know yourself from the inside out.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't agree more. What is one message that you hope that every woman who's listening today walks away with?
Trust your gut, believe in yourself, and yeah, you've got this. Take
I
off
love
the
that.
pressure. Do
Hmm.
do what feels right to you, because that
Hmm.
won't look the same as someone else. And if you're trying to
Yeah.
chase someone else's dream, you're never going to be aligned with yourself.
No, no. Short and sweet. I love it. Last question. What is your superpower?
Oh, oof, that's a good one. Being empathic.
Mm.
I
Which is
like
also really important in the work that you do.
yeah, and like I was always that person. Like I went into social work because I was like, what do I love to do? I love to help others, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
So, and that's why I could, I lasted so long in the prison
Yeah.
system, because I still, well, at the end, the empathy was going down, and that's another thing that I was like, oh, need to switch.
That means, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I love that. No one's ever said empathy. I love it. Uh, so before we wrap up, where can people connect with you, find you, learn more about your work?
Um, I can be found on social media, and then I would love to tell you what my name handle is. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's like Instagram might be like Dominique underscore Méthé dot RSW. So
I
registered
think
social worker.
so.
Yeah. And then Facebook, Dominique Méthé RSW. And if people want to reach out, they can send a DM. If anyone is like interested in booking a session or starting therapy, I do like free consultation calls to answer questions or like to, help to bring the stress down because a lot of people,
Yeah,
their first time starting therapy, there's a lot of
easily.
anxiety there because it's so
Mm-hmm.
unknown. But
Mm-hmm.
I go really, really gentle and I like your my client takes the lead and I kind of follow and I don't push. So because therapy is based on trust, right?
Yeah.
So and some people are really open and they can like share everything they went through the first session, and others are really more guarded, and it takes like 4 or 5, 6 sessions before they like start opening up more.
Mm.
So and that's something that I kind of want like you know therapy takes time, and
Mm.
give it more time, because the more that I know, the more that I'm going to be able to be like, oh, okay, you told me this, so this explains this and blah blah blah, right? So I can make the link,
Mhm.
but I can only make the links if I have the whole story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes having the whole story takes time, and some
Mm-hmm.
people start therapy and they don't feel like stuff is moving, but like it is always moving. um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so anyways, I'm very open, and I if I see that my client is a lot more reserved, then I don't push. um so sometimes it can take a bit more time, but yeah, so if anyone is interested in starting therapy, I do virtual, so I can do anywhere in New Brunswick actually. um and um yeah, we can have a consultation call and I can answer some questions. And if not, I have like social media. So I do like fun content on there. It's a lot of like, motherhood or miscarriage
Mm-hmm.
or fertility. And then sometimes I like sprinkle like my personal life in there so that
Yeah.
when a client comes and look at my socials, then they can kind of see who they're going to meet with, right? So
Yeah.
they have an idea of like who I am, and because then that takes the anxiety from there to there,
It really
So,
does. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Dominique. It was a really, really great conversation, and I am sure that everyone listening will take so much out of it. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I always end reminding my wonderful women to keep choosing yourself, your vision, and your values. That is real power. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the Empower Elle podcast. I hope today's episode inspired you and gave you practical insights to help you navigate your journey as an ambitious, high-achieving woman. Remember, every step you take towards building your confidence and embracing your full potential is a step closer to creating the life you truly desire. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite platform. Your support helps us reach more women who are ready to step into their power and live their best lives. Don't forget to join our community on social media for more resources, tips, and inspiration. Until next time, lead with power and live with wellness. You are unstoppable.